buying Fantom during time of angst, right? What kind of return can we expect when we buy during these price dips? When the hourly RSI, when technical indicator, the hourly RSI is very low. And what kind of a level is good for that? So the idea we are now going to look at is we buy Fantom during times like now, right? When there's a crash. We buy Fantom during fear. And then we want to sell it, say, 5 hours from here, or 10 hours from here, or 2 days from here. We want to sell it afterwards in a relatively short period of time, because what we actually want to do is we want to take advantage of this potentially oversold environment. When we look at this historically, right, the RSI here, the price over here, when we look at this historically, very often the price turned around when the hourly RSI was very low. We see this relatively often, but it's not a surefire win, right? Sometimes the price doesn't turn around. The question is, how much of a turnaround do we have? So let's look at this conceptually. Let's look at what we actually want to do now, how do we want to use this technical indicator in order to take advantage of these very fearful times. So let's draw first the price, okay? So this could be a potential price development. Fantom's price might be moving like this, and then suddenly we get bad news and we get a quick crash down, right? And the hourly RSI during these times, it is comparatively low, right? We get a crash, the hourly RSI is very low. So we get a signal over here, okay? Hourly RSI is low. Now what could then happen? Several things could happen, right? What I think is most likely, and that's why we do this simulation of buying and selling according to the past. That's why we do the backtest. We do the backtest, which resulted in this really, really nice positive movement. We do the backtest because we want to know how often does it recover and by how much. So the price of Fantom could move like this afterwards. The price of Fantom could move like this afterwards. Maybe it goes down a bit further, then it recovers. Maybe it really loses afterwards. So there are several scenarios that could happen. And so what we want to find out is what's actually the typical scenario, what's the average scenario. So if we take all of those scenarios, so the price development after an hourly RSI signal, if we take all of those scenarios and we average this out, maybe in this particular example, we come to something like, maybe something like this, okay? So this could be maybe some kind of a development. So what we want to know is if this is actually first of all, we want to know, is this actually what's happening, right? Is the price on average really going to recover whenever we see a price dump? Is this strategy in general working, right? That's the first question. The second question is, how much is it working? If it does work, how much return can we expect from a single trade when we buy according to this? And then we want to know how often would something like this work, right? And how long would we have to hold? So let me break all of this down graphically. So this would be now our averaged out price movement after such a buying signal, right? Then we probably, if we are in such a situation, we probably want to sell over here, right? This would be a nice thing. We would buy here, we would sell here. So what we want to measure now is how long does it take until the recovery levels off, right? What's the time horizon after the hourly RSI signal where we can expect a price appreciation, where the oversold condition, where maybe people had forced liquidations, something like this, right? This is normally creating these spikes, or where maybe a stop loss was triggered, these kind of things. How long does it take until the oversold condition stops? So we want to get this T over here, right? What's the time? The second question is, how much of a return can we expect when buying into the fear? Okay, so that's our R, our expected return. Okay. The third thing that we want to know is probably how often does this work? So when we count all of those scenarios over here, right? what's our winning rate? Okay, so let's call this W, okay? What's our winning rate? In this case here, in this drawing, so let's say this is neutral. In this case, we have 3 wins versus 2 losses. So here our winning rate would be 60%, okay? How often, if we buy into the fear, do we actually win? So these are the kinds of questions we have. There's one final question that is for adjusting this strategy perfectly, and that's finding out what hourly RSI over here is the best threshold for buying. Is it 20, as indicated over here? Or should we actually also buy during these kind of dips? Right? Should we buy when the hourly RSI say at 24? Or should we maybe even buy it when it's at 30? What would have worked best historically speaking if you look at all of Fantom's history, at all of Fantom's price history, assuming we use the hourly relative strength index, right? So I want to know, is this here the best? So is this the 25 RSI, or is this the 20 RSI, or maybe even the 15 RSI? Should we be even more picky, right? The higher we go here with the RSI, the more buying signals we potentially have. Okay, so that's one of the ways to look at this. Now, as said, the best trading strategy that I have simulated and backtested with that hourly RSI, it netted these kind of returns. Now, you might be wondering, how can I know that these kind of situations actually happen, right? I can't every hour check every chart that I want to potentially trade, right? Maybe you don't just want to trade Fantom, maybe you want to trade other things as well. How can you find these kind of points in time? And for that, I've set something up. It is not for free though. For that, I've got the premium membership. And when you sign up over here for the premium membership, it's currently $49. It's a bit cheaper than usual because of the bear market, right? There's not a lot of people that currently trade crypto. If you sign up for this, you will get access to something called the premium alerts channel, the premium indicator alerts channel. So by the way, you can also sign up for the yearly. So that's then $490. So you get 2 months for free. Let me show you this premium alerts channel. So this is an automatic bot that monitors several cryptocurrencies and that gives us alerts and also explanations for those alerts. For example, over here, the hourly RSI is below 26. Backtest suggests that the price is likely higher 26 hours from now. So here you already got a little spoiler of what's actually the best setting over here. And I've already presented this in a way shorter format for the premium members. So the content, the videos, etc. for the premium members, it's a bit more advanced, right? I basically just go through the results very quickly. I'm not going to explain all the fluff and all the general ideas behind this. I'm simply just going straight to the facts. So if you only have 20 minutes to get a new profitable strategy, you can simply watch these kind of videos. But here you go, you get these premium alerts where you then get, for example, when Solana is very low or when Fantom is very low. The current cryptocurrencies that we look at over here are listed in a pinned message. If you need other cryptocurrencies added to this, simply ask us then in the chat. So there's also a premium chat where you can ask me any questions. Where you can also ask me to add other cryptocurrencies to this. Currently, we've got the following over here. I'm not going to read them all out. You can simply just look at this. This is currently what we have. We've also got a few stocks. Okay, so that's the idea. Now let's look at the first result, because I've already talked way too much and you came here for the result. So I've got now several charts. Let's first look at the average trade return. So what we've drawn over here in red, right? I just noticed that I haven't shown you the entire chart, but you probably could follow anyway, right? So this is basically how it looked like. So now we're gonna just look at the average red line over here, right? How did the price behave after the hourly RSI signal? And that's the result of the backtest, the expected return. So what you have here on the x-axis is the duration, the holding duration of the FTM token after the signal in hours. And on the y-axis, we've got the return since purchase. And so we see over here that there is a certain time period. When we hold for that time after the hourly RSI signal, we would gain. And then at a certain point in time, that return levels off. The oversold condition normalizes. The price simply just moves as always. And so this particular chart here is with the 35 RSI threshold, right? So when we buy or sell according to an RSI level of 35. So I have backtested all the RSI levels from 35 all the way down to 15 to see how much more profitable do we get by being more selective. How does the oversold condition change? So what I'm going to do now next is I will flick through all of this. I will flick through those charts and I will look at how is this performance developing. So this is the 35 RSI. This is the 34 RSI. Note the shape of the curves is pretty much the same, but what changes often is what very often changes is the y-axis over here, right? So that's the main thing that changes, not necessarily so much the shape of this curve. So let's look at other RSIs. This is the 34. This is the 33. Now we are going to 32. Now we are going to 31. So note when we are, say, at 34, we are at 3.5, below 4% in terms of the maximum we can get in terms of recovery. When we are more selective with buying, now we are at 4%. If we are even more selective with buying, so the RSI threshold goes lower, then we go above 4%. So this is now already between 4 and 4.5% with 31 RSI. When we look at the 30 RSI, the line further increases. When we go to 29, we're now constantly above 5%. Pretty much, if you're wondering where this level here is, this is pretty much at 1 day from here. So 25 hours from here. So the recovery after an oversold condition for Fantom takes around 25 hours if you take the 29 RSI. And on average, you could expect a return with such a trade of 5%. Now let's go further. This is 28. The 28 RSI, it peaks here at almost 6%, but it flattens out in the end, right? So this is, the question is it worth to be in the market for that much longer for this marginally more return? We potentially also take on more risk. So let's go further. This is a big jump. This is the 27 RSI. We are now at 6.5% per trade. This is the 26 RSI. As we've already seen in the Telegram chat, this is actually what we're going to use. So the 26 RSI works the best. The average trade when buying according to the signal returns 8% per annum. And the hours we want to hold after such a signal is simply 26. So we buy, we don't look at the price anymore. And then after 26 hours, we sell again. We do this all the time. We get on average 8% return. By the way, how many trades did we make in Fantom's entire history doing this? Approximately 100. Okay, so this is around 2 trades per week. Note though, sometimes these trades are clustered. So when we are for an extended period of time in these periods, we would buy every single hour. Okay, so that's the backtest over here. We're not just buying once. Once we go into the territory, we would buy all the time while we are at this depressed price. Okay, so that's the 26. Now let's go next to 25. Okay, so this is going to a similar degree. Now 24 is even slightly higher. Here we've got 8% at a 40-hour holding period. 23 seems to be the best. Okay, so 23 has, for a similar holding period, 8.5%. Now, why do we take 26 and not 23 in the Telegram channel? It's because there are less signals. So the 23 RSI has around double the number of signals as the 23. The 23 only had around 50 buying signals. So you would make those 8.5% only half often compared to the 8% you would make with the 26 RSI. And so to simply have more buying signals, we take the 26. But you might consider taking the 23 if you're inclined to do so. Next, we've got 22. And let's go through this quickly because it does not become better. We become more and more selective with this. The 20 RSI is still okay. It's the same RSI we use for dollar cost averaging. But once we go beyond that, our performance per trade suffers massively. Because simply, we don't have enough trades, we don't have enough sample size. And in the end, we don't really make money from all of this. It's just random. And we can even notice the further we go out here, once we go to the 15 RSI, right, the maximum we get here is 6% per trade. So it's not worth it. We want to keep it at the 26 RSI, holding it for 26 hours. This was just a short clip. For the entire episode, click over here. It has got way more details. See you in that video.